Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 135 of the Runnin the Paint podcast. I'm Miles here with Ben, Joey, and Nick. Guys, how are you doing today?
Feeling good, feeling great. Brand new season basically started today.
Yeah, I'm absolutely excited to be here. We're back. It's a live free agency fest right now. So
Yes,
there's
it
a lot
is.
going on. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, we are recording this at right now, 9:24 p.m. Eastern, so about 3.5 hours into free agency. And boy, a lot of stuff has happened, and we're going to talk about it all. Ben, how are you doing today, buddy?
Doing well. I'm enjoying free agency so far. I'm glad we've got a good amount of action so far tonight.
Yeah,
We
and the
heard,
first 20 minutes didn't look like it was going to be that great. We got nothing. Everyone was asleep for the first 20 minutes, and then we got the action going.
I was gonna say we heard Joey with a pretty loud, potentially audacious projection for the Jazz being in the lottery, or not the lottery. I'm sorry, the play-in next year. I was wondering
Yeah,
if
a
any
whole
of these
lot
other
of stuff happened.
Yeah.
if any of these other moves move the needle for any of you guys, just that we've heard so far on any of
No,
these
I
teams.
was just
Atlanta's been doing a lot of moves, right, Miles?
Yeah, Atlanta's done a lot of moves. The Rockets, we'll get into them. We got a lot to get into. So first, let's just get PERTL out of the way. Hopefully we get this done quickly so we can get into all the moves in free agency. So let's guess someone who already signed a contract, a free agent, going to the Lakers, Jake LaRavia, who's played on a few teams. Let's see where that gets us. Okay, this is going to be a 23-year-old player in the East that is probably a guard that's smaller than 6'6" and wears a lower jersey number. So we got a lot of guys to guess from, but 23-year-old guards in the East, actually. That could be a couple different guys.
Yeah, 2020 draft class or so around there.
Yeah, where was he drafted?
I don't know
Where
how
was
old he was when he was drafted, but if you're a freshman, that would have been the year in 2020,
Yeah, it
5 years
was
ago.
2022, 2021 draft class.
Yeah, I don't know. We got a lot to pick from. Like Jalen Suggs is around that age.
Jalen Suggs.
oh,
Yeah.
there it is.
Ooh.
Let's try it.
Meant to be. Let's try it out. Jalen Suggs.
Oh,
Okay,
it's a
not
good
very
guess, though.
close. It's going to be a 6'5" guard in the Southeast Division. So it's going to be Miami, Charlotte, Atlanta, or Washington. So like a shooting guard type player, 6'5", a taller sort of guard. It's 23 years old.
Because Dyson Daniels is number 5, and it's a higher number than 4 or
Yeah.
5 and 6.
Correct.
Hmm.
Can you name the teams again? You said Atlanta, Orlando. Well, not Orlando.
It's going to be Atlanta, Miami, Charlotte, and Washington.
I feel like, what about Trey Mann? He's got a low jersey number, though. And he's not on Charlotte anymore.
Well, I mean, this is going to be based off of the end of last year still, so he'd still be on Charlotte's roster.
I think he's number 4, though.
I don't think he's 6'5", though. He might be the number 23.
Oh, okay.
That might be a good guess then.
No, I don't think he's that tall.
Yeah, because he's kind of like a point guard type of size.
Combo.
All right, let's keep on thinking here. 23-year-old, 6'5" guards. Let's see.
stumped.
Could this be someone at the end of the bench in one of these teams?
Yeah.
Definitely could be. Man, Atlanta Hawks. Who's a person young? I don't think it's going to be Atlanta.
I would say Charlotte.
Charlotte Hornets.
They have. What about Nick Smith? He's smaller though too.
Nick Smith. I think he might be smaller. Washington. Dang.
Oh,
Not going to be. It's not going to be a Corey Kispert guy.
I'm hung up on Charlotte.
Charlotte Hornets, 6'5" guard. Man, this is a tough one. This is definitely a tough one so far. It seems like the Southeast Division is always where we get a little tricky.
It's because none of the teams are good.
I mean,
Yeah,
either hero an option, or is he a bit too old? I feel like he's a bit too old.
You know what this could be? This could be Josh Green.
Oh, yeah, maybe actually.
Josh Green is on the horn. Let's give it a try. Let's see. Josh
Dang, I was
Green.
trying to get to that.
Oh.
What?
But he is on Charlotte.
Oh my gosh, either number 9 or
You get
number
the
8.
number there down, at least.
I thought I had it
Memphis,
there
come
with
on.
Josh Green. This is definitely an end of the bench guy. This is either it's either going to be like Nick Smith or
I was gonna say, is Nick Smith number 8?
I think he is. You want to try him again?
I think.
Sure. How many
Yeah.
6'5" guys can they have?
Oh my
Oh!
gosh.
Who's number 9?
Number 9 on the Hornets. I think it's got to be an end of the bench player.
You've
I
got
wanna
to be
say-
kidding me. Well, I was right on his number though.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Number-
Oh, Leaky Black?
Team.
Oh, Leaky Black. Oh, that's
Is
a
he on
name.
Charlotte?
Is he? I don't think he played. Yeah, what? Dude, do we try Leaky Black?
It's got
We got to. Come on.
He was a
I'm
wizard.
watching.
Oh!
He was on the Wizards. Oh, jeez.
This is
Yeah, we're shooting arrows in the dark here now.
We're shooting
This
arrows in
is
the
Charlotte.
dark.
Who actually knows Charlotte's team?
Charlotte Hornets, man.
Number 9.
Oh, I know. There is one person who I saw that just signed there, Plumlee.
Mason Plumlee.
We have 3 more guesses.
I don't think we're gonna get it. This might be the first one we have to actually look up.
Yeah,
I
just look it
don't
up.
know who number 9 is
I
for
have
Charlotte.
no clue.
Number 9.
I have no clue.
Number 9 Hornets. Wendell Moore Jr.
Yeah, we're not gonna... Sorry, Wendell.
Former Minnesota Timberwolf.
Never would have guessed that.
That's a tough one. That's one of the harder ones that they've given us for sure.
The number what
Yeah, I
pick
would've
and
guessed
what
it.
draft?
I didn't even totally know he was on the Hornets.
Yeah, so let's just move on from that. Forget that ever happened. Let's talk about NBA free agency, which again we're 3.5 hours into, and this is gonna be fun because if you guys remember last year we did a live stream with all of us where we were kind of reacting to all the signings as they were coming in, and we're probably gonna get some live reactions to some signings. Like right now, just got the report: Milwaukee Bucks are re-signing Taurean Prince for 2 years, $7.1 million. So we're gonna get a lot of that stuff during this episode, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I think that first we got to start off with the team that's been the most active throughout this offseason and in free agency, the Houston Rockets, man. What a 15 days or so stretch here for the Rockets. They trade for Kevin Durant a couple weeks ago. They trade away Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks to get in their go-to guy. They extended a lot of guys. They brought back Steven Adams for 3 years, $39 million. They re-signed Jabari Smith Jr. or extended him for 5 years, $122 million. Want to get into that extension a little bit because he's actually the first player from the 2022 draft class to get his rookie scale extension, and it's for a lot of money as well. And then they re-signed Fred VanVleet for 2 years, $50 million. They re-signed Jae'Sean Tate, Aaron Holiday, and Jeff Green. And then today they signed Dorian Finney-Smith for 4 years, $53 million. And Clint Capella for 3 years, $21.5 million. So a lot going on for the Rockets. Ben, why don't you get us started here? What do you think of the Rockets offseason so far and culminating today with free agency?
I really like their offseason so far. Like I've mentioned before that I love the Kevin Durant trade. That was the go-to kind of score they needed. But we talked about a bit earlier, even after they got Durant, that even just somebody who come in and be a good shooter and defender could still be someone else the Rockets needed, and they got that today in Dorian Finney-Smith. Pretty good defender, kind of like Dillon Brooks, and he guard all kinds of different people. He's a good 3-point shooter, and the Capella move, that was a bit odd. I wasn't quite expecting that, but I guess that's all right for them.
Yeah, Joey, what are your thoughts on these moves that they made in free agency? I mean, with the trade they made for Kevin Durant, their roster kind of looked pretty good as is, but they go out and get these two veterans to come in and shore up their depth a little bit. And once again, they add defense, rebounding, and versatility to this young Rockets team.
100%. One of the big things that obviously you were addressing with getting Kevin Durant and getting rid of Dillon Brooks and Jalen Green was obviously getting a consistent score in KD, but you're going to miss the defense a little bit. Then you sign Dorian Finney-Smith. Then you put a little more faith into Fred VanVleet, who is a solid point guard, restructure his deal, open up some more cap space, and then you re-sign Jabari Smith. He better take a leap. So, but as long as he does, it's going to be a great payout. And yeah, I'm also a little confused of the Clint Capella, but hey, he's been there before. It reminds me a little bit of Cavs re-signing Tristan Thompson, but different because we don't have another big backup big man in Cleveland outside of Tristan Thompson. But it sounds like it kind of feels like that just because Clint Capella did play a lot of really good basketball in Houston before. So maybe it's a pure chemistry kind of thing, but I feel like Steven Adams and him kind of just play the same way, honestly, even obviously the same position, but just the way they are, kind of a vocal vibe leader, kind of a vibe guy too. Like Steven Adams already kind of fills that role, and you extended him, so I don't know.
Right. I mean, it could potentially be, Adams, they kind of had to manage his minutes a bit last year because he was coming off of the knee surgery, I believe it was. So you get a guy that can play backup minutes if necessary. Nick, what were your thoughts on this Jabari Smith extension? Again, 5 years, $122 million for a guy that last year his role kind of changed a little bit coming off the bench. Now he's going to be a starter. Getting a lot of money here. What do you think?
Well, they're taking some big swings. Seems like the only guy left they have to sign is Dwight Howard, like we were talking about in the group chat. Seems like that's the next guy who's going to be in a Rockets uniform.
Love it.
But no, they're taking some big swings, and I like what they're doing because, they're keeping the fans interested and getting excitement, and they're also, taking care of their home guys, the guys who have been there, and that's going to sell jerseys and that's going to sell tickets.
Yeah, absolutely. Jabari Smith Jr., a young guy, as Nick's coughing up a storm a little bit. Rockets are scaring everyone out here right now. Man, Alex Caruso is Nick's profile picture. Just noticed that out here. Shout out to Alex Caruso. But no, Jabari Smith Jr., a guy who's, still super young, just finished up his third year. He's 21 years old. Was the third pick back in 2022. And he's been a very good rebounder, and that's really been his calling card so far. And he can obviously stretch the floor. But he's, in my opinion, he's kind of getting his payday before proving his value. I think the Rockets are going to need him to take some sort of leap, especially with all the money that they're handing out. I mean, this is going to be the last off season that they're able to really hand out this sort of money. I mean, this is going to be their team for the next few years as they're contending in the West.
Yeah, for sure. This is even though it is a lot of money, it is essentially a prove it deal. Like this is the Houston Rockets saying, "Hey, we're giving you your money because we believe in you. But if you don't, they'll probably try to get rid of him just quickly, just because he has been in the NBA now a couple years. He's found his foot. He's got a lot of talent, a lot of athletic ability. They need him. They really need him to take that next leap, and he could be a potential all-star with the kind of potential he has.
He could definitely a talented player. Ben, what are your thoughts on the money they gave Jabari Smith?
I wasn't surprised they extended him. He, still some good potential in him. He's looked solid so far with the Rockets, and yeah, they gave him a good amount of money, but I guess that's kind of what they had to do, for Jabari to be happy about that. And I didn't think it was too big of a contract.
Yeah, I guess we'll just have to see how much he can play that contract because he still definitely has room to get better. But Rockets definitely looking really good in that Western Conference right now as the 2 seed last year before making all these moves. Obviously, still have probably some room to go before Oklahoma City. Obviously, after just winning the NBA championship, best team in the league, but Rockets making a case as the best team, maybe not even just in the West, but in the entire NBA with the best chance to knock off the Thunder coming next season. What do you guys think?
No, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, their best player is a 37-year-old Kevin Durant, and I do think Tari Eason and Clint Capella are going to, sort of fit right into that tough, grimy, defensive-minded mindset that has got them the 2 seed last year, and I do think it's going to win them a lot of games this year. But They don't have the guy. They don't have Ant or Jokic or Shea. Like I think it's gonna be one of those other teams that are knocking on the Thunder's door before this Rockets team. At least I have to see it.
Yeah. That's especially after the Suns the last couple of years and the last Kevin Durant project. Like, it just didn't. We have to see it to believe it. I'm kind of with you, but at least on paper, like you said, they were a 2 seed this past year, and even then we didn't see them as really true contenders. But at least the way the team is investing and the
Right.
way their GM and they're paying their guys and all
They're going
that,
for it.
they're for sure thinking that they're going to
If
contend
Amen
this
Thompson
year.
is the best player on that roster, it's a different conversation.
Yeah, that's fair. I think
Ben, what do you think? How good do you think this Rockets team could be coming this season?
I think, that they're going to be even better than last year. Pretty good. Will they get the 2 or 1 seed? Maybe, but it won't be easy because I definitely would not want to sleep on the Timberwolves. Of course, they got Ant, and, they still should be pretty good next year, even though they lost Akil Alexander Walker free agency. And the Nuggets, look at the Nuggets. We'll talk about them later, but they got better. You can't count them out when they have Jokic. And we haven't talked about Dallas yet. I think Dallas is underrated. When Kyrie Irving gets healthy, that team's going to be loaded
What
and
about the
scary.
Spurs?
I think they'll even be scary before Kyrie comes back because they'll have so much length and will be pretty good defensively all year as long as they stay healthy.
That's the thing. The Houston Rockets got a lot better, and we can say they're contenders, but guess what? A lot of the other teams in the West also made major moves and got a lot better as well.
Yeah, and we'll get to all that a little bit later. I guess last thing I'll say on the Rockets, and of course we have the whole summer to preview and project all these teams. But with Houston and the Kevin Durant, experience, I don't really like comparing it to the Suns, at least with the big three, because look, for all intents and purposes, the Suns' big three of Durant, Booker, and Beal, you kind of have three of the same player, on the offensive end. They all want the ball, they all want to isolate, and they want to take mid-range jump shots. On this team, all the stars have their own specific role. Kevin Durant is going to be their isolation scorer. Şengün is going to be their facilitator out of the post and in pick and rolls. Van Fleet can be a spacer. Thompson can be a cutter. He can be the guy on the defensive end that causes havoc and on the fast break. Jabari Smith, you never know what he can do. I think he is going to learn a lot from Kevin Durant as well. So I just like how this Houston team, everyone's roles are kind of solidified, and there really shouldn't be that many questions about who is the guy on this team. Because although, like, Amen Thompson, he could be their best player by the end of the year. Şengün could be, Durant still could be, but they're all different enough to where there is still a pecking order in Houston that should be solidified before the season starts.
But they do have a really good roster and like roles carved out, like you said, and that's an identity, and it's very important to have an identity, as we just saw with the Pacers.
True.
Yeah, no question about it. So even if it isn't this first year for Houston, and I know Kevin Durant's older, but this team is so young and has the chance to get so much better. There's definitely a lot of potential, even if it isn't this year, that the Rockets should be good and competitive for a long time, which is good to see from this team. But let's go on to some other Western Conference teams that have been busy so far in free agency. We'll go to the Timberwolves next year, coming off of 2 Western Conference Finals appearances. We were wondering, heading into this offseason, what was their free agency going to look like here, because they were already so expensive at the top. We saw last year they had to, save some money by trading Karl Anthony Towns to the Knicks to get back Julius Randle. And heading into this summer, Randle is a free agent, Naz Reid is a free agent, Nickeil Alexander-Walker is a free agent. And Ben, as you said, they lose Nickeil Alexander-Walker. He goes to Atlanta for 4 years, $62 million. Great move by Atlanta. They're looking really, really good this summer, as we talked about before. But the Randle deal is 3 years, $100 million with a player option. But then the Naz Reid contract, 5 years, $125 million with a player option, which is a lot of money, in my opinion, for a guy that's going to be their backup. I mean, what do you guys think about this? Joy, let's start with you. What do you think about the moves that they've made so far to bring back the big guys and losing Alexander Walker because of it?
It definitely Nikhil Alexander Walker is a bigger loss than I think they're going to realize. He's really going to be missed. He was a good player for them, kind of fit a perfect role. But I'll be the first one to tell you, Julius Randle played great for them. He was very key to why they was able to make the Western Conference Finals this past year, and for the past year. And Naz Reid, I know he's gonna play the backup, but he is a starter and should be getting this money on most other teams, and he is as key as you can get to someone on your bench. He is the best, regardless if he has won it this year or last year or whatever. Naz Reid has been probably the most talented and most consistent and best six-man or bench guy in the last 2 to 3 years in the NBA, in my opinion. Like, you know what you're getting. He's going to score. He's going to rebound. And he's just been getting more consistent and better every single year. He seems to be more he's someone you know you're going to need. And how many years does Gobert have left? Because maybe, just maybe, they move on from Gobert in a year or two. And then they'll still have Naz Reid as a starter for the last 3 years of that contract or something. But so I think it's a great deal to lock up both of those guys. I know it's a small ball game nowadays and faster pace, but those are two bigger guys that can kind of play in that kind of speed.
So to that point, Gobert is under contract Gobert and Randle are both going to be under contract through the 2027-28 season.
Oh, okay.
For the next 3 years, where both of those guys have player options at the end of those contracts now. And then Naz Reid, with this deal, he'll be under contract until the 29-30 season, signing this 5-year deal. Nick, what are your thoughts on the Wolves' decisions so far this summer?
I thought the Randle deal was great. 3 years, 100 mils, good value for what he gave you last year and the player that he's been. I don't think the Naz deal is as bad as people are making it sound. I mean, 5 years for 125 is, I mean, it sounds like a lot, but it's almost like the average NBA salary is half of that. So it's like double the average. And he's an above average player. I mean, 6 man of the year a couple of years ago and has competed for it pretty much every year since. So I think if you get 3 years of him at this level, that would be what you're hoping for. And I don't know. I would have tried to get like a 3-year, $70 million deal done, which is similar price per year. And if, say, Atlanta would have signed them for that, we would be saying like, wow, what a great signing, which is like the same amount per year. So I think from that perspective, from that lens, like it's not that bad of a deal. But for 5 years, again, Minnesota's a smaller market, taking care of like these fan favorite players. You gotta negotiate. You gotta give and take a little bit.
Definitely fair. Ben, what do you think?
Yeah. Kind of surprised that Naz Reid got that big of a contract, but I mean, I think it was money Naz Reid really wanted, and I guess it's fine for them. They have it locked up at least coming up going forward, and he's played a huge part off their bench, even though he's not a starter. I mean, he would be starting out. A lot of other teams would deserve that money, as Joey said earlier. So, yeah, it's cool that the Timberwolves have him going forward at least. And yeah, the kill Alexander Walker would be best there, but not like the biggest loss in the world. But sure they'll miss his defense. He was a pretty good defender, and Julius Randle, yeah. Glad they got him going forward. He was a pretty good like number 2 scoring option to Ant in the playoff.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I really like the Randle contract. Naz Reid, 5 years, 125 million. I guess it is kind of around market value, but I guess I'm just a little worried about the sort of roster imbalance now with this Timberwolves team, because losing Nikhil Alexander Walker, who was such a key guard, for them off the bench defensively, now you're really going to be relying on your young guys to step up. Because looking in the backcourt, of course, you have Anthony Edwards, no question. He's going to be a stud once again. But then Mike Conley is still going to be his starting point guard to start the year. I'm not sure how much longer we're going to, how longer he's going to be able to give solid minutes. And then off your bench, you still have DiVincenzo, who was on and off this season. But then you have Rob Dillingham and Terrence Shannon Jr., two rookies from last year, and Shannon was good in the playoffs at times. But I mean, it's a bet on those guys to play well for them, because when you look at the front court, they already had Randle and Gobert kind of set there. And I guess you did kind of need your backup five anyways. So I guess either way, their decision was going to be to you can only have one or the other. And either way, if they had lost Naz Reid too, it would have been a huge miss as well. So I guess they made the right decision. I just still think it is a lot of money, and it's going to pigeonhole them from being able to make decisions moving forward when looking at the second apron in the CBA, and the fact that you're giving a backup, $25 million a year. That's the only thing I have against it. Down the line, it could give them some trouble.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Losing Nas is a big loss. Sorry, now.
But yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. They'll have to see who steps up.
Yeah, and I guess the thought should be, I mean, win now. I mean, this is a team that has the pieces to win right now, making 2 back-to-back conference finals, but we'll see if they are able to make any other moves, because while they did go deep in the playoffs the last couple of years, they just weren't on the same level as the teams they lost to. I mean, those series weren't really that close. I mean, 5-game series each of the last 2 years. The Dallas lost last year, and then OKC this year. But overall, important for those guys to come back, and now we'll see how those guys operate in kind of the second year with Randle there as well, because there was some inconsistencies, with him having to adjust to his new role there for Minnesota. But overall, solid free agency so far.
They basically need those 2 rookies, Dillingham and Shannon, plus Jalen Clark, to sort of fill that role.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Next up, where do we want to go here? We want to talk about the big trade, the Denver Nuggets.
Yes.
So let's head over there. They made a couple unexpected moves here today. First, they finally traded away Michael Porter Jr. They traded him and an unprotected 2032 first-round pick to the Brooklyn Nets for Cam Johnson. So a swap of the 2 sharpshooting wing guys. Joey, what was your reaction to this trade? And then I guess the signing they made later, they brought Bruce Brown back, key part from their championship a couple years ago.
Denver doing great. You get a very similar player in Cam Johnson as you did Michael Porter, and but you get it for how much cheaper was it?
$17 million cheaper, I believe.
$17 million cheaper, and I know Cam Johnson's had his injury troubles. They're not as bad as Michael Porter Jr. though, so you could probably rely on him a little more, at least when it comes to just being available. So as much as I love to crap on the GFF, the Brooklyn Nets, it's not that bad, because that 2032 first-round pick, that's a pretty good pick, because that Jokic and that entire team is going to be gone. At least at that point. And that might be, and it's unprotected. So either use that as trade bait by the time, or I don't know, just save it and see if you get a top pick, which very well could happen. Who knows how the NBA will look, but at least the timing wise with how their peak is right now, that's a good timeline for the Brooklyn Nets on that pick. And Bruce Brown, yes. Very good. Welcome back. Denver Nuggets fans are probably super stoked on that.
Yep. Nick, how about you? What did you think when you saw this trade go down?
Yeah, it was a good move for both of them. I mean, Brooklyn brings in a guy who's, two pretty similar players. It's almost similar players you can get. But Brooklyn brings in a guy who's either on the same level as, or maybe a little bit better than the guy that you're giving up. And you also bring in a pretty valuable first-round pick, so that's good. And then for Denver, you enable yourself to sign a former champion on your team who's played at a very high level for you and on other teams since he's been away. So someone who's reliable and who you can expect to be a threat and be consistent in a role, and you get 2 roles for the price of 1. Both ways,
Absolutely.
honestly, both ways.
Yeah.
I get two for 1 for both guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Ben, I mean, these two guys, as we've talked about, very similar players, wing players that are pretty tall that like to shoot the three, but Cameron Johnson, probably a bit more of a sure thing than Michael Porter, which is definitely what you need when you're trying to win another championship.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Mose. I was impressed the Nuggets were able to get him. I wasn't totally picking the Nuggets as a team that could get Cam Johnson as trade this offseason, but I love the fit. I think he could come in there and fit well at the starting free spot in Denver, and I think he's just even better. I think he'll be more reliable than Michael Porter for them. He's even better defensively too than Porter. Pretty good defender that Denver will have over there along with Aaron Gordon in that starting lineup. So I like that, and yeah, I'm excited about this for Denver.
Yeah, and Cam Johnson, I mean, he coming off of a very good year for Brooklyn. He averaged 19 points per game last year for the Nets, which is very good. He's not as good of a rebound as Porter, but definitely more consistent, and he's got experience as well. I know Porter was on
You don't
there
think Porter
2020.
can average 20 this year in Brooklyn?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Look, for the Brooklyn Nets, here's the thing. I love this trade for Brooklyn because they traded away Cam Johnson at his highest value. I mean, again, he averaged 19 points per game, shooting 39% from 3 on 7 attempts per game. I mean, that is fantastic.
Nuts.
And they were able to get Michael Porter, who you never know. The Eastern Conference with all the injuries, all-star spots are open. Michael Porter could squeeze his way into an all-star game by taking a whole bunch of shots. And from what we've seen with the Brooklyn Nets, one of the few teams this coming into this summer with cap space, they filled it up with their 5 rookies that they took on the draft and filling it up with another shot chucker along with Cam Thomas, who they still have to re-sign. So the goal is clear, to be bad again. And I love it because there was no real avenue to bring in a star player at this point for Brooklyn. So like I said before, after they made the draft picks, it's like, all right, let's just play the season out, see where we're at next season with our draft picks. Maybe we'll get some luck. Maybe we'll jump up to the top few spots, and then maybe a star will become available next season to come to the Brooklyn Nets. So I really love it for both teams, honestly.
You'll get the 8th pick again.
And if that happens, you play it over again. I mean, at some point,
the look's got to change.
What's the definition of insanity?
Doing the same thing, expecting different results.
How about
Hey,
you try and be
EFF,
good?
here we go.
How about you try and be good?
Well, at least
I
they
get what you're
now
saying.
have
I get
their
what you're
own-
saying. I'm just
At least, yeah, no, I know. But at least now, if they wanted to go with that strategy, they actually have their own first round picks. So they kept them so they could, do that strategy.
it's a good point.
So, not bad for both of these teams. And yeah, Bruce Brown, 1 year minimum. That's a terrific deal. I mean, we'll see how Bruce Brown plays. I mean, the last year, really since he's left Denver,
Not
he
the
hasn't
same,
really
but
he really hasn't played a whole lot, but he also really
Yeah.
hasn't been on very good teams. Since he left Denver, he's played for Indiana, Toronto, and New Orleans. No, teams that haven't been that weren't competitive, like Indiana at that point. First half of last year wasn't that competitive.
you know what you're getting, though.
Yeah, you know what you're getting. Denver knows what they're getting, and it's going to be a great fit. I mean, I think he's someone that is going to play better now that he's back with Denver than those other situations.
I agree.
So yeah, let's move on now. I guess we'll quickly talk about the Dallas Mavericks, another team, like Ben said. I mean, that could be scary in the Western Conference. Of course, they draft Cooper Flagg last week with the first overall pick. They re-signed Kyrie Irving for 3 years, $119 million. They re-signed Daniel Gafford for 3 years, $54 million. And then they sign a temporary starting point guard while Kyrie Irving is out by signing D'Angelo Russell for 2 years, $13 million. So this Dallas Mavericks team is deep and looking pretty scary. I mean, Joey, after the abomination of the Luka Doncic trade last season, that last half was one of the worst you could even have, for an organization. But going through all that, now they're looking pretty deep and pretty scary in the West.
It tends to happen when the NBA is scripted and you get the #1 pick after trading the future of your franchise. So
Joey's going full off the deep end with this.
Yeah, it happens. But you're absolutely right. After getting the entire benefit of the doubt and getting Cooper Flag and revitalizing that franchise, even though they don't, well, Nico Harrison doesn't deserve it. But this team is looking very, very dangerous really, really quickly. That team is an insane.
Dude, Max Christie is like their 8th best player.
I mean, they're legitimately too deep at every position. It is crazy.
I was going to say, I'm like, that starting lineup is insanely talented. And then you look at their backups, and that starting 5 would beat the Brooklyn Nets right now, I'm telling you.
Oh, yeah.
Or you mean the backup 5?
The backup 5. That's what I'm talking. D'Angelo Russell, Christie, Marshall, Washington, and Lively would 100% beat the Brooklyn Nets starting lineup right now.
Dude, in the East, that team could be a playing team.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, isn't that not the Bulls starting lineup?
Oh, shots fired at the Bulls. We'll get to their trade in a little bit.
But no, Dallas for sure they're just cooking. They're just like Houston. That's why it's hard to say if Houston's going to be that good, and got to see it to believe it. And it's the same thing for a lot of these Texas teams, especially too. Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio. It's like they're all making crazy good moves to get themselves into contention, and they're doing everything on paper right. It's all about just seeing it on the court put together now.
Yeah, and even with the Spurs there, of course, they had their great draft, drafting Dylan Harper and Carter Bryant in the lottery. And then they signed Luke Cornett for 4 years, $41 million. Quickly talk about that. I mean, great, story for him, undrafted 8 years ago. And now is making more money. He's going to make more money than he had earned in his 8-year career. So just a great story for Luke Cornett. And goes to the Spurs with Victor. He can be his backup. They can play together. I mean, it's a great move for them. But for this Dallas Mavericks team, and really for every team there in the West that's at the top and hoping to compete, it really is going to come down to health, as it does every year. And if there's anything against this Dallas team, it is that they're being led by injury-prone players. With Irving, who's obviously out to start the year with the ACL injury. We'll see how he looks when he comes back, and Anthony Davis. So we'll see how that can take them, to different places. But I mean, the starting lineup is incredible. I mean, when Klay Thompson is your worst player in your starting lineup, even at this stage of his career, that's still exceptional. So they should be really good. It's going to come down to health for that team, maybe more so for that team than any other in the Western Conference.
100%.
Yeah.
So let's see. Moving on across the board, I guess now let's talk about the LA Lakers. Let's talk about the Lakers. They haven't really done a whole lot in free agency. They signed Jake LaRavia for that 2-year, $12 million deal. That's all they've done. But the big storyline that everyone's been talking about the last few days was LeBron opting into his $52 million player option. And then immediately following that, Rich Paul gives a statement saying LeBron wants to compete for a championship. He knows the Lakers are building for the future. He understands that, but he also values a realistic chance of winning it all. We are very appreciative of the partnership that we've had for 7 years with Jeannie Buss and Rob Pelinka, and consider the Lakers as a critical part of his career. With that statement, doesn't it sound like they're kind of thanking the Lakers, and that's kind of like a past tense kind of statement? I found it very strange that all this is happening.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
I think I just thought
LeBron
about
usually.
Here, Nick, go ahead.
He usually opts out, and so when he opts out, he puts out a statement saying, "I'm opting out," and he either lets us wait to see what he's going to do, or he resigns for a bigger number, which is usually what happens. So I think it's just a regular update saying, this time I'm opting in. And it just sounds maybe weird because he's never done it before. And Rich Paul and LeBron have never had to put out this kind of statement. So it is weird. And it sounds weird because, it's like past tense. Maybe they just overlooked it. Or maybe they didn't have the foresight to see that it would have this sort of reaction.
Maybe. I mean, Ben, what do you think about all this?
I
Yeah,
don't have the tinfoil hat like
uh,
you guys.
kind of an interesting development. Brian Windhorst said, "Yeah, that was weird with LeBron. I mean, he knew LeBron so well. He was like, he hasn't seen this for LeBron's, but I mean, I did hear some rumors. Maybe the Knicks or maybe the Cavs or somehow gonna get him. But I mean, I think he's probably gonna go back to the Lakers and be with them. But I mean, who knows? Interesting. I mean, Knicks. I heard they're interested in trying to hire Mike Brown possibly. He used to coach LeBron in Cleveland a long time ago. I don't know if that's something, but probably not. I think he's probably gonna go back to the Lakers. But yeah, it was weird. That's kind of all I gotta say now. It was a surprise.
Yeah, and then continuing the statement after that, Rich Paul also said, "We understand the difficulty in winning now while preparing for the future." So basically, building the team around Luka. We do want to evaluate what's best for LeBron at this stage in his life and career. He wants to make every season he has left count, and the Lakers understand that, are supportive, and want what's best for him. So, I mean, a lot of this is sounding like, all right, Lakers, you got to do something for LeBron to stay, or else he might request a trade. But Joey, he opted into the player option. I don't understand why those comments are coming out when he's opting into the option to stay.
That's the confusing part, I think, and I think that's the part that's confusing a lot of people is that he opted in, and I don't, since he really hasn't done that, he's never really played out, like gone into a year on his last year of that contract. It's always been an option, and then he makes a decision at the end of it whether he wants to go. But this season, he's going in being like, this is the last year of my contract. I'm curious if him thinking that, like, and the Rich Paul thing in the Lakers isn't maybe a thing to motivate them to either win now or move him. I think it might just be a precursor to him possibly retiring at the end of this year.
Ooh.
I think it's all that. Like, obviously, the conspiracy theorist in me wants him to be traded to Cleveland and win one more championship in his home before he hangs it all up and rides into the sunset. But I don't know. I think he's staying in LA. I think he will, and I think he might be done after this year. It's going to be a sad. I think this might be a very sad year for us Braun fans.
It's Nick. You were raising your hand. What are your thoughts?
Well, the other thing about opting in is like when he opts out, he does like use it to send a message to say like, "You guys better figure this out, or I'm gonna go sign with somebody else." So like, this might have been the only avenue he had to do that after he decided he was gonna opt in, was to put out a message that made it sound like he's unhappy or he wants the team to do something.
Yeah, I mean, it really is confusing. I mean, I don't think there's any way that a trade is going to happen because I feel like it would just be impossible for it to happen. I mean, there aren't any. I don't know what teams would be willing to dump off $53 million in salary to get a 1 to 2 year rental of 41 to 42-year-old LeBron when LeBron wants to win. So he would be traded for pieces that would help him win if he was on that team. So it really just doesn't make sense to me. Honestly, it's all nothing. He's going to be a Laker and nothing is going to happen.
That's what I'm thinking. I think it's all just a kind of a smokescreen, or, in my opinion, just a little hint of this might be it. But he's for sure, I think, staying with the Lakers.
Yeah, to play his 23rd season there. Still crazy.
And who knows? The Lakers, we were thinking about it. Obviously, they signed Jake LaRavia, but DeAndre Ayton is the big name going around because he just got bought out from Portland.
Yeah,
And
what are the thoughts on that? Portland buying out DeAndre Ayton with like $35 million left on his deal for this season. It kind of came out of nowhere, but Ayton and his representatives went to Portland to ask for the buyout because he wanted to play in a winning situation. Joey, what do you think?
It makes sense. I'll be honest, I kind of could see it coming a little bit of a way. I'll be honest, when he went there from Phoenix, I didn't see it in general. I didn't expect it to last as long as it did. It did, happy, but it's a very not really memorable time in Portland. They didn't really do much. He played okay or pretty good, but like nothing, not worth that $35 million. So yeah, smart by DeAndre Ayton, so he could go and try to rebuild his career. It seems just to get his name back out there and be what a number one pick should be, kind of. But I also kind of get it from Portland as well. Donovan Clingan's there. They got other guys. They're trying to build young. I don't like the move they made with Anthony Simons, but I'm not going to hold that against him now. I think it was kind of a smart move to move on from Ayton now.
Nick, for the Lakers, do you think that DeAndre Ayton is the type of center that they should be going after? I mean, like Joey said, this is a number one pick that's still 26 years old, averaged 14 and 10 last year. Do you think he's the type of center that the Lakers should be going after?
No. He's not an explosive athlete who can dominate like above the rim and be a dominating rim protector. He's a offensive stat stuffer who who operates on pretty good efficiency, and like that's his calling card, is that he's going to score the ball and he's going to be someone who you can go to get a bucket, and then also like rebound and fill the stat, like just kind of do that job as well. But that's not what they need. They need a lob threat and a rim protector.
I totally agree. I feel like DeAndre Ayton is kind of the 2020s version of Hassan Whiteside, where he's just stat padding out there. And now that he's playing for a contract, maybe he'll, and that he might be playing for something, maybe he'll give more effort out there on the floor. But I definitely thought the Lakers needed really just Clint Capella, someone like Clint Capella, but instead he went to the Rockets like we talked about before. And quickly centers are becoming off the board in free agency. The Mason Plumlee to Charlotte. Brook Lopez goes to the other team in LA. He goes to the Clippers. Great signing for them. They quickly had a good offseason, signing Brook Lopez for 2 years, $18 million. They re-signed Harden and they re-signed Nick Batum to solid deals. So they'll be bringing back their team that was the 5th seed last year. So good offseason for the Clippers. But Ben, what do you think about the Lakers and DeAndre Ayton? Because it seems like that might be a for sure thing. They can't really talk until the buyout becomes official on Wednesday. But what are your thoughts on the Lakers and their center situation?
Yeah, I don't quite get their process on that. Like, I was thinking, I think the Lakers could get Clint Capella. Then, like, he went to the Rockets, and I was kind of surprised. And I think it's not great for the Lakers that they missed out on him because, as Nick said, I think they need a rim protector, lob threat kind of center. Clint Capella, I know he's getting kind of older, but he would have been that for them, at least for now. And now you miss out on him. And yeah, I guess they're thinking go get DeAndre Ayton, but I wouldn't totally love the fit there. I mean, he's not like super athletic, as Nick said, and I pretty much agree with what like Nick said earlier on Ayton going there.
Yeah, so we'll see where Ayton ends up and what the Lakers end up doing with their center position. Maybe it's there together. I think Ayton could have some more suitors because there are teams like Milwaukee now, since they lost Brook Lopez, even though they re-signed Bobby Portis, they're going to need to fill up some center play. And if Giannis is still there, they're still going to want to be a bit competitive. They re-signed Kevin Porter, re-signed Taurean Prince, re-signed Bobby Portis. So they're gonna want a center like that could still be good. It's not like DeAndre Ayton's a bad player. I'm not sure if he would fit on the Lakers.
That makes sense.
Moving on, let's talk about the Grizzlies, who are the busiest team over the first 10, 15 minutes of free agency. The first signing we got is that it was a re-signing of Jaren Jackson Jr., 5 years, $240 million with a player option. So Triple J gets paid. They re-signed Santi Aldama for 3 years, $52.5 million. They signed Ty Jerome for 3 years, $28 million with a player option. They re-signed Cam Spencer, and then it also came out that Cole Anthony, who they acquired in the Desmond Bane trade, they're going to look to find him a new team, whether it's a trade or buying him out, making him a free agent. Joey, what are your thoughts on the Grizzlies' free agency? It's basically been they traded Desmond Bane. They've gone full forward with Ja and Jaren as the two guys, and then they re-signed Santi and signed Ty Jerome.
Pretty good moves. Big fan of Ty Jerome. Gonna miss him in Cleveland, but Cleveland didn't do too bad on getting another backup point guard in Lonzo Ball, and trading Isaac Okoro for him. But yeah, no, they're doing solid. Santi Aldama's been good for them. Re-signed Jaren Jackson. Not a big fan of just I don't know. I see what they're doing and they're making good moves. I just don't see the picture that they're building. I don't see like the project that they're doing. I just don't see it a whole lot of success coming from it, honestly. I think there are so many other Western teams that are making bigger moves, making more leaps than them. Like you got rid of your big three and you got picks for the future, yet you're also trying to like bring back your veterans and to re-sign your star players and trying to win now. Like it's a lot of kind of confusing things that I just don't really know, but they're not like on paper, none of the moves they're making are bad. They're good moves, but it just all of it's just very confusing. I don't know which way they're going, what kind of direction they're headed.
Yeah, I mean, Nick, it kind of seems like the Grizzlies have made some moves to they're kind of going to be in the same position next year as they were last year. At least that's what it feels like.
Yeah, absolutely. They're definitely middling to that 2016, I'm sorry, Atlanta Hawks team that, had the 2 seed the 1 year and was relegated to not being very good for the rest of the future. So that's what I'm seeing from Memphis.
Yeah, for sure. Ben, any thoughts on the Grizzlies so far?
Yeah, I mean, I don't quite get the direction they're heading in either. I mean, I think, as I said, even when the Desmond Bane trade happened, yeah, it was fine to move on to Desmond Bane, kind of going like a different direction, but they're like signing veterans back and they signed Ty Jerome, which is interesting side. I guess it fit all right there, but it's kind of confusing. Memphis, I don't know. They'll be good, but not like a contending team, I think, next year.
Yeah, I mean, the Ty Jerome signing, I wasn't really sure what to make of it either because you have Ja, you have Scottie Pippen Jr., who was really good, and then you had a third point guard. Maybe because Ja's always hurt, or he has injury concerns. I shouldn't say he's always hurt, but he has injury concerns, and you have guys that can now play that position if he's out. But still loaded at the guard spot, and again, looking like they're probably going to be in that middle of the West positioning, like they were this season.
If you're thinking like an owner for the Grizzlies who doesn't believe in their team being very good, you're thinking, okay, maybe we have to move Ja in the next year or two. Let's get a lot of backups to keep his usage and court time a little bit lower so he doesn't get hurt and keep his value up. That's the only argument I can really see for signing Ty Jerome as a third point guard.
Yeah, it could be possible. That's definitely true. We've been talking about a lot of Western Conference teams. We'll go over to the East for a little bit. Let's talk about we'll talk about the Hawks first, actually, because the Hawks have had a very big offseason so far. They made the trade to get Kristaps Porzingis from Boston in a salary dump, which was a great move for them, really not giving up a whole lot in return. And then in free agency, they signed Nickeil Alexander-Walker for that 4-year, $72 million deal, and they also signed Luke Kennard for 1 year, $11 million. So, Joey, this Hawks team, it feels like every year one of us is high on the Atlanta Hawks. I'm feeling good about them
it's
again
never
next
me.
year.
You are high on them? Good, because I was this past year, this year or 2 years ago, and I haven't gone back, so I'm not high on them. But they're making good moves, working well with their players. Like the guys are developing. They got an identity. They got good defensive guys. They got good shooters. they just, as much as I love Trae Young as the guy, he is best when he's a playmaker and he's getting everybody else involved. I feel like he's a great 1B, not a 1A, though. And I feel like they need a 1A because he is.
They got Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown?
If they got Jaylen Brown, I mean, it's not going to happen, but
it's not going to happen, but that would be a perfect 1A to his 1B kind of thing. Because that's exactly what I'm kind of saying. Like, that would be a perfect kind of fit, I feel like, for Trae Young. So good on the Atlanta Hawks. They might be more competitive in these because, as we always say, especially this year with all the injuries to the Pacers and to the Celtics and the top teams, East is as wide open this year as it ever has been, at least in recent memory. So who knows this year? Everything's up in the air, but we're making good moves. I've been burnt before by being high on the Atlanta Hawks, and I'm not doing it again. So good luck, Miles.
You gotta be high on Atlanta like this.
Well,
gotta be high on something, Miles.
This Atlanta Hawks team, to me, I mean, this is the best that they've been since that conference finals team, and arguably better when you take a look at their team. I mean, you take their starting five. I think this is the perfect scenario for a starting five to have around Trae Young, where you have Trae Young and 4 great defensive players that can all make plays offensively with Dyson Daniels, Risa Shea, Jalen Johnson, and Porzingis. I love how you guys are yawning and stretching as I'm talking about the Atlanta Hawks. You guys are tired on them.
No, I don't like the Porzingis first of all as well. I don't like the Porzingis trade either.
Really? Why
not? I don't. He's not reliable. I don't think he's gonna. He literally doesn't flip the lever. As I would rather still have like Onyeka Okongwu as their starter over Kristaps Porzingis.
But now they have Okongwu as their backup to an all-star caliber player on the last year of his contract. So it's not he's going to be playing for something.
I think they got a lot better.
I think they got a lot better. If I wanted to make any locks, I think a bold prediction, I would bet that the Atlanta Hawks are going to be a top 6 team in the East. And one of the top.
I could get behind that.
That's not that crazy. I'm expecting a crazy take would be saying they're getting home court advantage.
Yeah, top 4 if you really want to walk out on a ledge.
If you really want to be bold.
I can clearly talk myself into top 4 because just
well, let me stop you right there.
Let me stop.
All right. Why stop?
I'm just kidding. They could happen. Yeah, the East is wide open.
Well, because I mean, this team
and they got a lot better.
With Nikhil off the bench as well, with Luke Kennard as a shooter. Who else do they have on their bench? Obviously, Okongwu is still there. They have a really good top 8 players, and defensively, in the clutch, when the Atlanta Hawks are up 2 and with 13 seconds left, and they need to get a stop, and they can play Alexander Walker, Daniels, Risa Shea, Johnson, and Okongwu. Who is scoring on that team that much? They're going to throw that out a decent bit, and defense wins you games and gets you a lot of places. So Atlanta getting 3 really strong players in this free agency and not losing a whole lot in return, and them already being pretty good last year before the Johnson injury, it can elevate them a few tiers to me. I think that this team could be a playoff lock in the East, but we'll have to see because they are led by Johnson and Porzingis are definitely injury prone, but I can definitely see a world where they are a team that could even potentially win a few rounds in the playoffs because they're that good defensively on paper.
Yeah, I mean, they added Kennard and Nah, 2 great defensive wings, like you said. They got Porzingis as well, so that's like 3 really good additions to a team that's getting back Jalen Johnson and was in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, so I think if there was a year to be high on the Hawks, I'm much more confident in the Atlanta Hawks this year than the last 2, 3, 4 years. Even when they got DeJounte, I'm way more confident in this team than those years for sure.
That's fair. I believe it.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh yeah, Jordan Clarkson possibly or most likely going to sign with the Knicks as soon as he clears waivers.
Yeah, so, okay, let's talk about the Utah Jazz real quickly here because they've had an interesting couple of days. So they buy out Jordan Clarkson. Looks like he's going to sign with the Knicks. I like that signing. I mean,
I do too. Good bench for them. especially if they sign or trade for LeBron. That's another
Now
guy.
they got 2 shit.
Yeah, so that could be pretty good for there in New York. But for Utah, they buy out Jordan Clarkson, don't get anything back for him. And then, yesterday, they traded away Colin Sexton and a 2031 second-round pick to the Charlotte Hornets to get back Yusuf Nurkic. Look, how did the Jazz have to give up a second-round pick in the deal for an expiring contract? I do not understand what the Jazz are doing. They are they're kind of the Bulls of the Western Conference. They're mismanaging their assets because I'm very sure that you could have gotten a first for Sexton or Clarkson maybe years ago or maybe even last year, but you don't, and you get back Yusuf Nurkic for 2
I don't get
extremely
it, Miles.
valuable
You praise one team in Brooklyn for being bad, and you're not giving flowers to Utah for disemboweling their entire roster.
Yeah.
because at least Brooklyn is getting stuff back when they're trading things away. Utah did not.
Well, you don't
They got
want
nothing.
stuff back when you want to be bad.
You want picks. You want
Yeah.
picks. They couldn't even get a pick back. I mean, if you want to be bad all you want, but being a GFF is being bad without a lot of picks.
Right.
That's
True.
kind of why the Brooklyn Nets
Definition.
got all their things.
You can't call them the Jazz the GFF because they did draft the future MVP and savior of their team in Walter Clayton Jr. So they're on a good path. I think they've just gotten a little overconfident in their hand, and they know Ace Bailey and Walter Clayton is going to change that franchise. They just I'm with you. I also don't know what they're doing though, because trading a second round pick and Sexton to get Yusuf Nurkic when you already have Walker Kessler and Kyle Filipowski. I don't get it.
Especially when Sexton, I mean, we know from his time in Cleveland, and it's continued in Utah, very good, efficient scorer that's just so low-key because, I mean, really his entire career, he's played on bad teams. I mean, besides Lauri Markkanen, his teammate, I mean, Colin Sexton, I think, has the most games played in the league without playing in a playoff game. And that's probably going to continue now that he's a Charlotte Hornet, unfortunately. The Hornets, their moves, they signed Mason Plumlee. Since they traded for Colin Sexton, they declined Trey Mann's qualifying offer, making him an unrestricted free agent. Now, that's someone that could be intriguing for other teams. He's a good young scorer there on the free agent market, but just perplexing for Utah. Let's go Detroit basketball. Let's talk about the Pistons and their wild couple days. Because after their resurgent season, of course, jumping up, making the playoffs, and taking the Knicks to 6 games in the first round, one of the biggest reasons for that resurgence was Malik Beasley and his incredible three-point shooting. And just before free agency, when he's online to re-sign with Detroit for 3 years, $42 million, we get a report that Malik Beasley is being investigated by the U.S. District Attorney's Office on allegations of gambling relating to NBA games and prop bets from the 2023-24 season last year when he was on the Milwaukee Bucks. So now, rightfully so, everything is on hold and he's probably not going to sign anywhere. I mean, Joey, this is ridiculous. We didn't really talk about, as much with the Jonte Porter thing, how much of a fool and an idiot you have to be to lose money on this. And now this is the first good player that we've seen be investigated like this. This is ridiculous.
It's very unfortunate, and I know we're basketball, but this Detroit Lions just lost a player last year, I think, because someone got caught gambling in their facilities. What's going on in Detroit, y'all? Like, here's the thing: you can bet on sports, just you can't be in the facility, and you can't bet on your own sport. I feel like those are two pretty simple rules that you can follow, and they just can't do that. It's shocking to me because when Ohio legalized the sports gambling, I did love betting on a lot of stuff. However, it's very risky and it's very addicting. But especially if you're making millions upon millions of dollars and you're a professional athlete, you can at least bet on a sport that you have no involvement in. I feel like you already make a lot of money. You don't. That's just greedy to the nth degree. That's too much, man. You kind of deserve to get caught at that point.
Exactly, Nick. Exactly. This is greed, and that's why I'm very happy that he got caught.
Thanks.
Yeah, there's no question about it. But,
it's a low
Nick,
bar.
what were you gonna say?
It's a low bar to not have to clear, and clearing it is idiotic and stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll have to see if he did the same thing as Jonte Porter and he bet the under on himself, which is even worse. I'll have a little more respect for Malik Beasley if he bet on himself to make like 4 threes in a game or his team to win. Like, but it still is ridiculous. So
I agree. I think everything should be dropped if he bet on himself to get the over instead.
I know one of the jokes going around is that like he hedged his bet and bet on who was it, the team that knocked them out, the Pistons out in the first series, and when Malik Beasley dropped the ball going out of bounds, they could have.
Yeah, New York. Yeah.
They're saying that he hedged his bet. He bet on New York to win, and then he fluffed it up. But
yeah,
so he won money, but his team didn't do good.
No. But Ben, this is on a serious note. I mean, this is a very big loss for the Pistons if this is obviously true. I mean, they're a team that was so good last year because they brought in these veterans that could really shoot the ball. And now one of the best three-point shooters in the league last year is probably going to be off their team. And they were able to, they re-signed Paul Reed, one of their backup centers, for 2 year, $11 million. And then they're most likely replacing Malik Beasley by signing Karis LeVert for 2 years, $29 million. But on an overall level, as a three-point shooting team, this team is going to get worse in that regard unless they sign someone else.
Yeah, the Malik Beasley dude stinks for them. Yeah, before we found out about this gambling thing, I was really happy the Pistons were going to find a way to re-sign him, and they probably would have if this gambling thing wasn't known of. And now, oh man, it's probably not that unfortunate. He would be a big loss because three-point shooting for them was huge last year. He really elevated that team as a shooting team overall last year. They definitely improved with shooting, and they did just sign Karis LeVert, who can be good at the 2 spot as well. But I mean, the problem is with that is that he just isn't as good of a shooter as Malik Beasley, and you gotta hope if you're the Pistons you can just find someone else you can sign that could be a good 3-point shooter, and just hope like some of your own young guys who you've been developing can take a step up with their 3-point game.
Yeah, I mean, now priority number 1 is probably make sure that Tim Hardaway Jr. is back on this team so you don't lose all of your shooters. Because of course, Karis LeVert can be good, but that's not his game. He's more of a herky-jerky isolation scorer. Back with our guy, well, maybe not our guy, but with JB Bickerstaff, who was with for a while there with the Cavaliers. So still a good signing, a good replacement, but I think there's still going to be some things they have to do to make sure that they don't completely lose their 3-point shooting, because it is going to be a big loss. Next up, let's go to our Cleveland Cavaliers, who did make a trade, as Joey mentioned there. Traded Isaac Okoro to the Chicago Bulls to get Lonzo Ball back to Cleveland. And then a little bit later, they re-signed Sam Merrill for 4 years, $38 million. And that was kind of the prerequisite to them losing Ty Jerome in free agency to Memphis. Nick, what was your reaction on this trade? Of course, we're all Cavs fans here. What did you think about the Cavs getting Lonzo from the Bulls?
Yeah, I told you guys when it happened that it was like one of the most exciting moves I had seen from my hometown Cavs in a long time, because I just really think it was a steal. I mean, I don't understand, the Bulls side. They've had a couple of trades like this where you just have to question what the heck is going on in Chicago's front office. And in my opinion, Lonzo is sort of a boomer bust guy because he hasn't played in the last 2 years a lot. But when he was drafted, he was very good. I think he was 18 overall.
Or
might have been higher. Was he a lottery?
Lonzo was 2.
Yeah, it was 2.
Yeah, he was high.
Sorry. I don't know why I thought. but he was good when he got in the league. He was good when he was healthy in the first couple of years, and he was good when he was on the court last year. So he's healthy now, and I think, yeah, he's just a much higher value than Okoro. So I was happy for the Cavs.
Joey, what were your thoughts on this? Because they're obviously, now that Ty Jerome got lost this summer because of the money, obviously fans are thinking like, man, why did they do this? Why did they sign Sam Merrill for this money, which is now a little more expensive than Ty Jerome, when they could have just brought him back? I kind of laid it out in our group chat why they kind of went with roster distribution, and losing your best shooter may not be worth it for kind of two guys that are solid but struggle in the playoffs. What did you think about this route that the Cavs went about to get a little bit better?
As I had I really wanted us to keep Ty Jerome just because even though it was almost unplayable in the playoffs at sometimes. He was so good in the regular season that helped us get to where we are. So I really wanted him to come back. And Sam Merrill, like you said, most consistent shooter on our team over the last couple of years. You need an elite 3-point shooter to help stretch the floor in crucial times. So that he's someone felt like you would like, especially since you laid out, like that's a lot of money, but like it makes sense just because, especially now that you point out with the Malik Beasley, he's one of the best 3-point shooters in the league, and now the Pistons, they don't have that spacing that they once had. It's going to be quite different. You couldn't really lose a Sam Merrill if you're the Cavs, and unfortunately, I am going to have to retire my Isaac Okoro jersey. So thank you for your years of service. I believed in you. You did well, but it's time to move on. And the fact that even though we lost Ty Jerome, Lonzo Ball has a much higher upside, in my opinion. He really does. He plays so much if not the same level of play that Ty Jerome was like at his peak at playing. Lonzo could do that same as well, I believe. But my thing is, I think Lonzo could just do it better in the playoffs. I feel like just the way he is, if he's healthy now, like I think he just has a much higher potential.
He got that dog in him.
He does have that dog.
LeVar put that dog in him.
I am a little afraid for the city of Cleveland just because LeVar, having Lonzo, you have LeVar. Having Shadur, you have Dion. LeVar and Dion meet up and do like some sort of live podcast in the middle of downtown. Everything's going to hit the fan. I'm fearful for the city at that point.
Oh my, that'd be crazy. But no, I mean, Ben, what are your thoughts about this? Basically, this swap for Lonzo Ball and Isaac Okoro.
Yeah, I like it for the Cavs. I like the plan to get Lonzo, bring him in, and then choose to bring back Sam Merrill. I mean, yeah, it would have been a tough loss, just losing Sam Merrill because, he's still a pretty good 3-point shooter. You need that spacing. It would have hurt the spacing for the Cavs, I think, if we lost Sam Merrill this offseason. So I like the contract. I like the deal for bringing Merrill back. And for Lonzo, look, you're at least going to get a tall point guard here, Lonzo, instead of just, keeping another, short point guard in Ty Jerome. Lonzo's a great defender. He's a much better defender than Ty Jerome. I think it's great that we're getting a point guard who will be able to come in and play some great defense. And if he can stay healthy, I think he can be a good scorer off the bench at times too. Maybe, score like Jerome at times. I think if he's healthy for the playoffs, that he would just be even better for Jerome in the playoffs and can hopefully bring that defensive toughness that we would need from him and other guys.
Yeah, the versatility that Lonzo Ball could bring if he's on the court is it's so important, for this team where, in that Pacers series, which obviously didn't go their way. I mean, Kenny Atkinson and the coaching staff, they were kind of struggling to find answers for how to combat it in different situations because in the guard play, Mitchell was playing on a strained calf, Garland was playing on the broken toe, Ty Jerome was unplayable. that's your 3 point guards, and that's not, and then you lose really all your options. And of course, Lonzo Ball, the durability is a huge question, as in the last 4 seasons, he's played in 70 games. So it's gonna, be a big question to see if he can be on the court. But if he can be healthy come playoff time, even though he has never played in a playoff game, which is, crazy enough, I think that he has the potential to be a terrific 16 game player for this Cavalier team. And I think that when you're at the stage that the Cavs are, where they're kind of known for being a great regular season team that hasn't been able to get it done in the playoffs, you need to get some 16 game players that can get it done. And across the board, I think they have that. Obviously, you can cross Ty Jerome off of the backup point guard now. Ball is there. Now that Okoro's gone, Jalen Tyson, the second-year player from UConn or California, is going to get to play some backup wing minutes. Only thing to me that Cleveland really needs to do is try to find a backup center. I know the market isn't great for it. Best case scenario to me would be a guy like Al Horford, but I think he's going to go to Golden State. So maybe like Larry Nance Jr. could have a reunion with the Cavs. That would be fantastic.
I would love that.
But they're looking good. I mean, they're a team that a lot of people are going to write off as far as being able to really compete and do well because of, how things went in the playoffs last year. But I was seeing after the Thunder won the title, the odds were already up for 2026 NBA champion. And for most sports books, it was OKC number 1 and then Cleveland number 2 or number 3 or number 4. So they're still up there. And this is a move that I do think makes them better. And Ty Jerome will be a tough loss. But I'm excited to see what they can do. And I'm excited to see what Ty Jerome can do as well, because even though positionally it may not be the best fit, Ty Jerome feels like a Memphis Grizzly type player with all the trash talking he does when he plays well. I think it fits perfectly with that team and that style of play. So I'm excited to see what both sides are able to do.
Tend to agree with you on that.
Let's see. Final bit of news here, because we've been going for a little while. I'll quickly breeze through the last bit of news. Phoenix Suns are set to extend Devin Booker for 2 years, $150 million. Makes sense for that team, where they're kind of just going in the direction where they're just going to build around Devin Booker. They agreed to a 1-year deal with Nigel Hayes-Davis, former March Madness star and EuroLeague champion and Finals MVP. So a couple moves there for the Suns. The Sacramento Kings, who have a void at point guard, are looking to sign both Dennis Schroeder and Russell Westbrook to try to get that point guard spot figured out. Orlando signed Tyus Jones for 1 year, $7 million. Philadelphia really hasn't done much. We saw Kevon Looney sign for New Orleans, so that era is over. In Golden State, after 10 years, he goes to the Pelicans for 2 years, $16 million. And that's really it for day one.
Actually, I did see while we were recording, the Sixers did sign Trendon Watford to a 2-year, $5 million deal.
Ooh, I like that move.
Yeah, not a huge name, but still good forward depth for them.
Yeah, not bad at all. But yeah, lots of moves there. We did have some more re-signings. OKC brought back Jay Will and AJ Mitchell. Davion Mitchell should go back to Miami. I guess the really last bit of big news was a few days ago when the Toronto Raptors decided to part ways with Masai Ujiri. That was a little bit of crazy news there, happening like a couple days after the NBA draft. I don't understand that at all, but Joey, what did you think about that move from the Raptors to move on from Masai Ujiri?
Pretty unfortunate, I feel like, because Masai Ujiri's been there for a long time and helped them do that move for Kawhi to get that championship. So a lot of good and awesome memories, a lot of success in Toronto while he was there. So can't understate how good he was for that team and that franchise and that city's country, realistically. But with them going through the rebuild, it is probably about time. It probably won't take him long if he does want another job in that capacity, because he did have a lot of success with running that team as GM, president, whatever, all the positions he kind of just held in that front office.
Yeah, for sure. And he could definitely find another front office job if he needed to. Just got notification. Yeah. Gary Trent is headed back to the Bucks. 2 years, $7.5 million. So Milwaukee's re-signing their players, man. I give them credit. I mean, they're a team that had a lot of questions heading into the offseason, but Giannis still there with a lot of the guys coming back. I mean, they're in a wide open East. They should still be pretty decent. But that's going to be all here for today. Day 1 of free agency. You guys have anything else before we get out of here?
No, that was a good episode, boys. Great job.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe for more NBA content. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and we will catch you in the next one.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.